All right, so we wanted to give you a few pictures of what reunion should look like. So, these are some alums having a great time at reunion. What do you think of that blue outfit? So this I wanted to stop and talk to you even about. This is actually what the rooms look like in the dining commons last year for the dinners. For the dinners on Saturday night, they do have the tablecloths and the class-colored napkins, and you are certainly welcome to put centerpieces on your tables, although the rooms are absolutely beautiful, which some of you have seen from dinner last night, that they don't really need them. But the rooms really looked beautiful last year. Everybody was very happy with the outcome. I mean, they've been eating in there all weekend with no tablecloths, and to walk into the room, it was just very elegant in space. So this kind of gives you an idea of what it'll look like. Now you can notice that the rooms are not set up the same way they are right now for the students. We actually, and some of you mentioned capacities on rooms. We do set these rooms up based on capacity and the sizes of classes that are coming back. So we don't assign the rooms that you'll be in for your dinner on Saturday night until we get closer to reunion and we know what your actual counts are. Because if there are two classes that are very close, we've got to find space for both in the larger spaces. So I know everybody loves the Beacon room, but I can't promise anything until closer to reunion. But they really did look nice.
Should we wait to ask questions about the dinner till later?
Yeah, because we're going to go through the package and we'll talk about that, yes.
Yep, and we have 2 slides in our presentation this morning, or this afternoon, that have the word questions on them.
Yes.
So if you just...
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And just some people on the green. So during both reunions, we have our lunch scheduled. Reunion 1, we have the picnic, and we have activities on the green that everyone can partake in. We have, balloon artists, we have face painting, we have the DJ playing outside. So it's a festive atmosphere out on the green with the picnic. And then on Reunion 2, we have some similar things that are going on the green. Lunch is actually in the dining commons on Reunion 2, but out in the green area, we do have activities. Archives comes and makes buttons. We have our DJ playing. The Alumni Association is out there giving stuff away, and classes are welcome to come back and sell their products. So it's really a fun afternoon. We've got games, outdoor games out there for everyone to play, and Pause is out there for photos. So it's really a fun atmosphere during the lunchtime for both reunions. And these are this looks like from the picnic. One of the classes sitting out on the green during picnic.
And then next one is me. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to do some sections about reunion budgeting and pricing. And one thing I wanted to let you know about, which actually goes along with the question just a moment ago, is sometimes as people are talking and presenting, you think of other questions you want to ask, but that would really throw the conversation in a different direction. So what we've tried to do is spread out sticky notes. Earlier we had put chunks of sticky notes out on the ends of the rows. If you think of a question or a topic or something that you want to ask a question about, but it's not really the right time, if you'll just jot down that question, and do you see how there's like a gray space up here? I'll walk there, right here. You're just going to stick your sticky note right here.
Oh, okay.
And what we'll do is at different points, we'll go over and just check out all the questions there, see if those questions have already been answered or if there are things we need to loop back in on. We might be able to get to all those questions today, or we might have to come back to them tomorrow when we gather together. But we will get answers for anything that's up in this sticky note area, which if you have done this at different workshops and conferences, some people call it a parking lot of ideas. So we'll say even our parking lot is a nice slate color today. So it's fitting. So what we're going to start with is just if you will look in your packet that you were given, you will find a yellow piece of paper, and it is the reunion planning timeline. You can tell that I am a teacher in my when I'm not here, and so it is slightly color-coded this year, but we're hoping that's going to help you find it. So find your yellow paper. Well, I did do elementary, but now I am with 4 and 5-year-olds, so I have to have my best patience. Yes. So when you look at this paper, we're not going to review it with you item by item, but this paper is the best resource for planning your reunion. It is a chronological timeline of everything that's going to happen from today all the way through till May. It gives you an idea of what things are coming up and when they're going to be due. It also just keeps you on track so that you can follow along and make sure you haven't missed anything. So please refer to it later when you are in your planning session this afternoon. Here you go, my friend. Yeah, that's okay. All right, so.
I guess we're using the brown thing now.
Oh, perfect.
'Cause it
That's
doesn't
perfect.
stick. Oh, sorry, I'll do it.
Yep. So I have a trivia question for you. I would like you just to jot down on any piece of paper a total cost that you think it. Maybe you remember what your last reunion cost, but guess how much it used to cost to attend reunion. Now, when I say used to cost, we're not talking about this year coming up, but how much? I'm talking the whole shebang. So, class fee,
Driving here, playing.
accommodations, meals, alumni association, for the per person. Per person. So think of a number. Jot it down. Like 2 years ago.
Or like when you were here
Like
last.
when you were here
year.
last, your last 5 year. Yep. How much do you think the cost was? All right, so I hope you've written down a number. I'd like everyone, can we actually stand up? We can stand up. It's a little tricky with these desks.
Yeah, it is. You could have them raise their hand.
Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm sorry for those people whose hand will be raised for a little bit. I was going to have you stand up, but I think with the way that the desks are, that's going to be a little tricky. So everyone raise your hand. If your number is below 200, put your hand down. If your number is above 500, put your hand down. If your number is below 300, put your hand down. If your number is above 425, put your hand down. If your number's below 350, put your hand down. If your number is above 400, put your hand down. Okay, if your number is below 370, put your hand down. If your number is above 390, it's above 390, put your hand down. Okay, so right now, the people whose hands are up are between 370 and 390. Okay, so what was your number? 385. 385, what was yours? 375. Okay, Kate, what's yours? 380. And it's Aya. Ina. 375. All right, go for it. Hit the...
This is for a Mountain Day hat.
Woo! So historically, our reunions, when you added everything together, not your travel, was about $380. And the reason why I say that is we have heard from alums in feedback many times that it's very expensive to attend reunion. And so what we're going to talk about today are, number one, ways that we have tried to reduce this overall number cost, because our number cost is lower now, and ways in which we come up with the overall cost for reunions. So you can see that there are some numbers that we just can't manipulate, and there are other numbers where you as a class can reduce those costs or manipulate those numbers according to what your class has to plan. So that is going to be my challenge and fun today. So, what does reunion cost? It costs a few different types of fees. So the first fee is going to be the registration fee. That is a fixed cost, and I'll tell you what it is in a moment. There's another screen. That's a fixed cost. There is dining fees. Those are also going to be a fixed cost now. And then there's a class fee. You have a lot of leeway here with your class fee. When you add those three things together, that's going to be your unique per person cost. You might have to add some accommodations because we know now that some alums come and stay back here in the dorms on campus, and there's a fee for that. But some of you might live locally. Some of you may rent an Airbnb or stay in a hotel. And so this is an added optional cost to your total cost of reunion. So the next slides are going to kind of discuss what each one of those fees means. So the registration fee, again, this is a fixed cost. It's fixed so much that we do have a little variation because we know our younger alums are just setting off. So we have some tiered costs there. So if you are a second year reunion person, your fixed rate registration cost is $50. If you are a 5-year reunion person, your fixed rate is $75. And if it's any other reunion year, your flat rate is $150. Now that might seem like a really small amount or a really large amount, depending on your opinion, but the amount of things that fee covers is tremendous. So all the setup and cleanup by the Alumni Association and the college staff, all of the student workers, we have how many? It's 160 student workers. That covers their costs, their meals, their hours, their housing. All of the programming, so the golf carts for the parades, all the cars, the wheelchairs, the reunion signage on campus, security during the parade, and other non-class events. It costs the marching band, the flowers for the presidents and the seniors, the food at affinity receptions, activities on the green, registration refreshments, printed schedules, brochures. We could have kept going. So there are lots and lots of pieces. And this registration fee doesn't actually cover, with all of you registering for reunion, what was it, $1,600? It doesn't actually cover the full amount of that. So the Alumni Association, as part of their budget, also supports these costs. And so does the college, too, depending on what it is. So this registration fee is that first piece in knowing what your total package fee is going to be. The next page is the dining fees. What we're excited about, and Maria mentioned this at the beginning, is that we are going to have a package deal this year for all of your meals. For those of you that were reunion planners in the past, and you might remember planning your Friday dinner or your Saturday dinner and thinking about different dietary restrictions or special needs of religious choices if they need certain items, or what if someone comes late and they miss dinner, right? So all of these things are now going to be taken care of by our meals. Majority of the time are going to be at the dining commons. There are some exceptions of that, and I think that the classes in the room, like the 50th class has their dinner at Chapin, they kind of know those exceptions. But these are all going to be part of the dining package. What's also nice is I know that sometimes I register to go to something, and I have to have a list of all the meals that I paid for, and I have to show it to the people on the way in, and that gets very confusing. We're not going to have to worry about that because everyone that has a name tag that's registered has all their meals included. So it's going to expedite people going into meals, and everyone will be able to eat and not have any confusion there. So what's included in the package is Friday dinner. I remember when I was reunion planning, Friday dinner was like, I'm getting a couple of pizzas, and I'm sorry you got here late and now the pizza's cold. So Friday dinner is included. We have Saturday breakfast included, Saturday lunch, and depending on which reunion you're on, it is that picnic for reunion 1. Saturday dinner is at designated class locations. So those photographs that Janet just showed you with the tablecloths and the class napkins, that was the Saturday dinner. And we have enough space in the dining commons to have unique locations for each class. So it will feel like, well, you may have a completely walled dining room, and if you are not, it'll still feel like a completely separate. If you were going to go to a fancy restaurant and you had, 50 people eating dinner together, you're in one section of the restaurant together. The napkins tremendously helped with that this year, so it was very obvious. If you were a green class and we said you're going over to that corner over there, they just were looking for the green napkins and they were all set. So it was really lovely. And then the Sunday breakfast.
Hot breakfast.
Yes. Saturday and Sunday. So that was another feedback thing. We used to have just cold kind of a la carte breakfasts. And now we have hot breakfast available. We heard you loud and clear that that was something you wanted. So all of those are part of the dining. For those of you that have not been over to the new dining commons, or those of you that are just excited to see what we mean by where you will be dining, tomorrow as part of our schedule at 9 o'clock in the morning, we are doing tours of the dining commons. So Janet and I will be running those tours with committee members, and we'll actually walk you through and show you the different rooms and how it was used during reunion this past year and what we're expecting for this coming year. I will just add a little housekeeping note there. There's going to be delicious food being served to the students at that time. Unfortunately, we can't eat it. So even though it's going to smell delicious in there and it's going to be breakfasty and your tummy may be growling, we are not eating the food there. So please make sure you get to breakfast before 9 o'clock so you're not starving when we're walking through this amazing kitchen and drooling. So that's tomorrow morning. The class fee is a place.
Do we know what the dining fee is?
We do not have a confirmed amount for the dining fee at this point, but we do have an estimate, and so I'll share that with you in a moment. Our class fee is where you have some flexibility, and this is a great place to think about what you want to make your reunion reflect your class, and also how your class treasury can offset some of the costs of your reunion. So class fee can cover anything here and many other things, but things like your parade costume, or also known as your parade accessory, your booklet or special projects, decorations in the dorm, hospitality, things like drinks, snacks, any supplies that you might need. It can cover the reception before dinner. It can cover cocktail hours, socials that you might have, the parade signs, and any other miscellaneous expenses. So you do want to think about what kinds of things do you want to be providing to your class. I know that this is a list here. You don't have to have all these things in your class fee. This is really the place where you can pick and choose items that you want to have as part of your class fee for your flavor for your reunion. And we're going to have a deeper dive into class fees in just a moment. Accommodations, these are fees that we know as of right now. So this is that added bonus if you're staying here on campus. There's a Friday, Saturday package. It is not a Friday package. It is not a Saturday package. It is a Friday, Saturday package. The room has to be made up. There's no possibility for a flip, so it's a Friday, Saturday package, $80 per bed. That's not bedroom. That's bed. So if it's a double, know that you may have a roommate. So it's $80 per bed. If you are a reunion planner, we highly encourage you to please come back on Thursday and start setting up your dorm, organizing your materials, organizing your committee, making sure that you're ready to welcome your classmates back. And on Thursday, it is $50 per bed, except for this tiny little exception. That is that 8 of your returners on Thursday night can submit for reimbursement of that $50. So the Alumni Association really wants you to have a good number of people coming back on Thursday, but you need to pay for it first and say, yes, I'm coming back on Thursday night, and then you just submit for reimbursement. 8 people get reimbursed.
And you'll need to submit a list.
Submit a list to me in advance. And so that I know if someone's sending a reimbursement in, I can check them off the list.
Yep. And there is one exception. The 50th class, the whole 50th class, their reunion starts on Thursday. So traditionally, you have a lot more people coming back on Thursday for 50th class. Yes?
Melissa, what about people, I come in from California, Ann comes in from California, we want to be here on Thursday.
Yep.
We're going to be coming in on Wednesday.
Yep.
So you can reserve accommodations at Willits for your group or a hotel locally. Unfortunately, the dorms are not available until Thursday morning or Thursday noonish time.
But Willits is available.
Yes, you should call and reserve them now.
Right
For
away.
your committee. Now. While you're here this weekend.
Yep.
When you say that, it includes breakfast on Friday morning, $50 includes Friday morning breakfast.
Yes.
And not lunch.
Right, because lunch is already part of your meal package.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not. Not on Friday. That was a mistake. Rewind.
It goes on Thursday, no.
So the Thursday night accommodations includes breakfast on Friday, but it does not include lunch. You can choose to go to the dining commons for lunch, or you can choose a wonderful other place that you might want to go. I'm like, can I tailgate? I went to tailgate on Friday for lunch this past reunion, both weekends. So you can choose to go somewhere else for lunch, or you can eat in the dining commons, and you can pay cash or card anytime you want to add on a meal.
And Thursday night, there will be dinner available on a cash basis if anybody comes in Thursday and wants to have dinner at the dining commons.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Can you just explain that for you can't go into the dining hall and pick and choose, and like I tried to. I just wanted to get an apple cobbler when I was here with something else. It's a flat fee for,
Yeah, it's a flat fee to go in the space, and you can eat whatever you want.
Yep.
There is a new grab and go that has opened that you can go down and grab food. And then there's the pub that's available for food as well.
and they started serving wine this week, I heard.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
They started serving wine this week.
Yes, the bar is open today.
Grand opening.
No,
No.
you can't take it out there.
Yep. All right, one more. Yep. Go for it.
You might answer this, but you come Friday, Thursday night with your team.
Yep.
But you have to ask them to pay on their registration fee. And
Yep.
check it off and pay the whole ticket for all the things you're checking off.
Yep.
And then they can submit reimbursement for the $50. So there will be a special form online.
It's the Alumni Association reimbursement form online. And it's on the hub page, too, that we were on.
Yep.
They can turn it in that.
Yep, they send it in to me.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll have to give me the list of your 8 people before reunion.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Yes. What if we want wine at the dinner? So on Saturday
On
night,
Saturday. Mhm.
wine is included in your dinner. On Friday night,
The pub is open Friday
the pub
night.
is open, so you can go purchase a drink there, but you cannot purchase at the pub and walk it into the dining room. So Friday night is a non-alcoholic dinner, but you can go for a drink in the pub after dinner or before dinner. So. Yep.
So I've been writing down a bunch of questions.
Yep.
But can we ask questions now about the things you're going over?
Yep.
So the dinner is now to ask questions?
Yep.
Okay. In terms of like what is being paid for by the registration fee and, the student workers, is it possible to access student workers for, a class to help with set up the hospitality room? 5 years ago, we found that many of us, and one person with really severe rheumatoid arthritis, were carrying around like boxes of alcohol to set up
Yeah, I'll
our
take that one.
bar Friday night. And it was really exhausting.
Yeah, you can arrange to have student workers if you would like them. I need to know, like in January though, because we do hire students and we'll need to know how many hours. They're not allowed to handle any alcohol. And there's, we just want to monitor the hours that you're needing them, and we'll have to let me know what you need them for.
Yeah, so even like one of the things we had to do was very time consuming, was coming early and everybody got a swag bag.
Yep.
And, putting the stuff in the swag bag took a long time. We had like 4 people.
They can help you stuff your bags.
To do,
Yep.
Yep.
But going to
No, they cannot. They cannot go get liquor for you.
And do we get charged?
Yes, you will be charged for the student. Yeah. There is a fee for the student workers. Yes, and it'll be charged to your account and taken out of any fees, any money collected before you get your refund, your class gets their rebate check.
So,
Go
is
ahead.
that gonna be on our work, and we can put that on our budget worksheet?
Yes, include that in your budget worksheet. I would, right now, I think, average like $12 an hour for the student worker if you're going to need one. It's may be up a little. Minimum wage just went up this year.
I think it'll go up for January again.
$12.32? What'd you say?
Oh, it'll go up in January again.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I think it'll be up to 13.
13. So budget $13. Yeah, sure.
I have a two-part question related to the schlepping of alcohol through the social hours. One is there any way we can find out, I know who the other reunion chairs are, but to organize a centralized delivery, so we're not all doing what I've done in the past, and apparently others have done in the past, bringing in cases of wine and cases of beer, so that we can have them come to a centralized location and then have less of a schlep.
Yeah.
You know, bring a car or whatever to, so that's part one of the questions. Part two, with the removal of dorm dining, we've lost refrigeration. So, beer and wine, we want.
Although you never had, I don't think you ever had access to refrigeration in the dorms. You never had access to the kitchen space.
We would never.
You had ice from Blanchard, maybe. You had tubs that you put them in? So, okay, let me answer the first question. So the first question she asked was, if all of you are getting alcohol delivered to the college, could just do it all at one time so there's not 15 trips. And you can do that. I invited all of you to my Facebook group. Do you all remember that Facebook group? Okay, so if you haven't been invited to the Facebook group for the 2019 reunion planners, let me know and I'll invite you. But that's where you guys can talk to each other. So you can say, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing this. Let's arrange with Liquors 44 to get one delivery brought at one time so there's no extra cost. Second half of the question was? There has not been refrigeration in the dorms. If you had one, your class may have rented a refrigerator, which is certainly a possibility. Well, there are some dorms that do have golden pairs that may have had access to small refrigerators, and I think the golden pairs have stayed. Golden pair is a small little kitchenette. Yeah, there's a few dorms. I think Crichton and Meade have them.
And Safford.
They don't deliver the ice, but you can pick it up. You can pre-order ice, which will give you the person's name in April, so you don't need it right now. And you can pre-order the amount of ice that you'll want, and then you can go pick it up at Blanchard.
Yep.
So I was the social person for all of our meetings except for one. And what I did ahead of time is I put a call out to people who were driving here and said, bring your tailgate cooler with you. And then they'll come, food services will come with the golf cart. And you put them on the back and we would go, and now that may have changed, and we would go and collect the ice. And we just made sure that we always had white wine and beer on ice. But our classmates who were driving there brought their coolers later.
That's a great idea.
So that's,
Yeah.
that does, it was fine for
Yeah,
us.
and you can call the Alumni Association. We do have student drivers driving golf carts around. If you needed to do that, we could put them on the back of the carts, bring you to Blanchard, pick up the ice, and bring it back to your dorm. As long as you're not in Hammer McGregor, because we can't cross the streets with the golf carts. Yeah.
We did that then.
Okay, let's go up here. You have to
Yeah.
do the centralized dining.
You can do something after dinner if you want, but this alleviates the stress and pressure around you having to worry about that. You can plan something fun for the evening.
Last year, frankly, and what we learned was a lot of the classes that planned Friday night dinner, their alums went over the dining commons instead, and because they hadn't reserved, they had to end up paying more. And so they didn't want to eat, or they had dietary restrictions or whatever. So as we agreed afterwards with dining services, we agreed it made more sense to do one dinner and make it available if people wanted to eat there. And we had a lot of people leaving there, not knowing people would eat again,
They can pay cash right
At the door.
But there'll
Yep.
be one, it'll make that easier
Yes.
this year.
Yep.
There'll be one price, it won't be confusing. So they could come in and eat in the dining room.
Sorry, one last there. Do you guys have decent data about how many that shows their registers, their work that showed up?
That showed up this year? I don't think it was very many. No, because what they should do is come to the New York room, which is where they register, and talk to the registration team and get registered. If they're going to be here for the weekend, they'll need a package in order to get included in the meals.
But we should probably we certainly have the data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I wrote a question when I'm going to ask it. You showed a picture of the rooms, and I noticed a lot of rectangular tables. Is there a way to have just round tables in the room which are more conducive to conversation, or are we stuck with whatever tables are in the room?
Well, that's a great question. We actually only have so many tables in the dining commons that we have to use, and we have to fit so many tables in each room. So it really depends on the numbers in the classes and how we can maneuver them in the rooms. Some of the rooms had all rounds, some of them had a lot of rectangles, because that was the only way we could fit them in the rooms. So
So you probably won't have your choice of I would like only round ones or I would like only rectangles.
yeah.
Yep.
What you're saying is that we have no choice of tables.
No, you won't. I can find out how many tables you'll have in the room. So if you were ordering centerpieces, I can tell you how many tables you'll have, but you can't say I want all rounds or all rectangles, because we have to squeeze everybody in.
Yep.
Does that answer?
It does. It just, we heard from some classes that the dining setup didn't have the really community feel that it did the previous year, even on Saturday dinner. And so, if we don't even have control over, like, we'd all like to sit at one table, put all the squares together, that's a little disappointing.
Well, they're not squares that we wouldn't set tables of 4. I mean, are you talking?
No, I know, but we were hearing from other classes that had the reunion last year, that said it felt more disjointed and less class-oriented.
For the Saturday dinner?
Having come from a class that has a lot of people return, we are so used to being cramped. Well, we are, I mean, it's in the Ham McGregor dining hall that, so for us, it's interesting that it was an issue for some other classes, but it wasn't for us because we're used to being. We just didn't complain about it.
Yep.
We are.
It's Sophia's point is that we would rather feel cramped together
Yep.
than to feel kind of spread out. And I think the feedback we heard from the prior year was that they couldn't really control, it wasn't enclosed enough, or they couldn't really control this feeling of
What class was that?
2003. I don't know.
I'd have to go back and look where they were. We do have one class that usually is out in the open area in the back, because we don't have enough closed-in rooms.
I think it was the.
16 was in the
There was the
great
one-
room.
The one time, the two-year class was in the back.
But I think their point was more that people were coming in and leaving during reunion, and it doesn't feel like dinner where you can actually talk to your classmates. Because one classmate's like getting up and going to get food or get dessert, another classmate.
So you could try to coordinate that by right before dinner, that you all gather together for some sort of meeting, event, or social, and then as a group you parade over to the dining commons, so you're all coming in at the same time, which is what I think you're saying.
I think I understand what you're saying,
That people were
too, yeah.
arriving at different times. Let's say your dinner was at 6 o'clock. And we all have those people that arrive a little before 6 because they're early. We have the people that come right at 6, and then we have people that stroll in at 6:30, like, oh, I'm still in the 6s, I'm on time. And so there was kind of this fluidness to dinner. So I would suggest, and there was 1 or 2 classes that did this, where they had an event right before their dinner, and they specifically said, we are parading together, and they all came in together and arrived at the same time. So that's going to be a little
Yeah.
different mindset than what we've had in the past.
And dessert was served, so if
don't think people went back out for, my recollection was, did we?
I don't think there's a,
Served by?
No. No, there were lots of options, so, yep. Let me go up here.
I'm just wondering if, like, since everybody's bought all the meals, is it kind of like established that you have it, or do you have that on a card, like a, not a one card, but a?
it's on your name badge. If you're wearing a name badge, you get into all the meals.
So if you did parade over, it wouldn't be like stand in line and swipe something?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Is there any kind of movable partitions where you group
Yes.
it out in your room, so it's sort of an enclosed space with a little sound area?
Well, there's only really one class that'll end up doing that. I'm not even, and may not even end up doing that if we can fit everybody into the spaces. It just depends on how the numbers come in, and we can't really determine that till we get closer.
So your classmates will just wear one of these lanyards. It will have their name in it, and if you're wearing this, you're going in for
You're in.
dinner.
They lose it just because, like, I'm imagining 2 year out might be a little wild and they might not want to wear that. What?
They can't get in without their name badge,
Yep. And we did have,
especially on Reunion 1.
although I will say that as a person that was greeting at the meals for many times, we only had that happen one time, and the poor woman, she was like distraught, and I was like, hold on a minute. I have my phone list here. I'm going to call over to the Alumni Association and see if they can confirm you're on a list with us. And I was able to get that confirmation over the phone, and she was able to go in. She found her lanyard later and made sure to tell me she had found it. But there will be people from the committee there, and so we'll be able to hopefully expedite those. But it only happened one time, and I can't even remember if it was Reunion 1 or Reunion 2. But
Is it a piece of paper inside the lanyard that you potentially take out and
yes,
carry that around?
yes, it is. It's a piece of paper. Yep.
Well, but
And it's a.
It's got a pocket on the back.
Yep. Yep.
You want people to
We want you to wear the name tag.
You're gonna wear it.
You can put your room key in there.
Yes. Or they can keep it in their pocket or whatever they want to do. So, yes.
I have two things. One is
Yep.
about like trying to create community at your dinner. Even we have a really big class that comes back, and we're usually in Prospect or something. So what we have done in the past is we have encouraged people, like at some point during the dinner, everybody gets up and moves. And we keep having people move around. I mean, it kind of works, but it has worked back then because we were being served dinner at different stages, different meals came out. So the other thing I wanted to ask is, during the dinner, sometimes, our class likes to have like moments where people stand up and talk about certain things, and are there gonna be mics? It sounds like it's gonna be, I'm just envisioning, it could be not, but it might be a loud space with other classes all around you. I don't know how sound.
No, you'll be in a room with 4 walls. Your doors can shut, but you will have a microphone in your room.
We will not?
You will.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
One more thing, sorry. And, so, we're not getting served dinner like we were.
Correct.
So, and I haven't been over to the new space, but I will go over the tour tomorrow. But it sounds like people are getting up, who we've talked to people who've come before, and they're going to different food stations, like I'm going to get Mexican, I'm going to get whatever, and they're all over the place. And I think I really want to try to find a way to either, everybody gets up and gets their dinner together, like trying to control how people are moving in and out of the space so that we can be together. It's like the cocktail hour and that dinner are really the only time that we're really all together, because people want to go, I think we heard this great thing about the Hall of Fame, and people are going to want to go to different things during the day, and they're going to be coming and going from the dorm, and those are the only times we're together as a class. We want to try to help develop a way to keep us together. How can we do that?
So
Well, the entire class will sit down in the room. If everybody is coming into the room, say, for instance, together, and everybody sits down, you can get on the microphone and say, hey, okay, it's time to get up. We're going to go have dinner. We'll go get our buffets. Last year, I went into all of the rooms and told everyone how to maneuver the space outside. So I'll go in and tell everyone, and then everybody got up at the same time. There was that one class, though, that people did arrive early, and they just started, and people came in, and it was really...
trickling.
It sounds like, I'm sorry, I have all these dinner questions because people are emailing me like, ask this. So it sounds like, there are 8, I don't know how many coming back for reunion 2, like 8 or 9 classes coming back. Are we all moving around the dining hall together at the same time, or is it like?
They're
No,
staggered.
we stagger the dinners.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's each room, each
The student workers, yeah.
And, okay, and for the Friday night dinner, will we go to the same sort of dedicated area? Like people, like I'm just trying to think of like when everyone's going to eat, like breakfast, can you say to your group of classmates, hey, we're in the, I don't know the rooms yet, but like we're
The
in
club room.
Yeah.
you guys, go to this room, that's where we're gonna be.
So Friday dinner and breakfasts are you reunion 1 or 2?
To,
Okay, so Friday night dinner and Saturday, Sunday breakfast are on own, and your people arrive at different times, so there's no set space for anyone. So you can tell your friends, hey, let's meet in the Beacon Room, and you can have a table where people can sit together, but not the entire class. For reunion 2, the lunch is in the dining commons, and we do have assigned rooms for lunch as well on reunion 2. On reunion 1, you're at the picnic, so there's no assigned.
But it organically worked really well
Yeah.
this year as far as classmates just said, we're all going to this location, and classes were able to eat together if that's what they chose. But also, what we've received on feedback from alums regularly after reunion is they want more time to talk to other alums. So the idea of allowing breakfast and the Friday dinner as more of an open seating was to accommodate that request. So you can meet some other alums at that time. Or many of us have said, well, now I have friends that are span many decades. You can meet as just a group of alums there at the same time. So it gives that flexibility, but it also gives time for you to be with your class. Yes, Gail.
Can we hire bartenders or back bar people if they're over 21 from you?
There will be students in there that will be serving the wine. That's for dinner.
If we do that on Friday night in our dorm?
No.
Okay. Do we have to pull a permit for Friday night in our dorm?
In your dorm, no, you do not.
Perfect. Yes, we will, Yep. Yep, why don't you go?
So, is it my understanding that the only set menu is going to be Saturday night, and that's the only time we're allowed to take over a room? Is
Right.
that correct?
Right.
But
So, and that the college will supply with wine, not beer, just wine. And do we have any choice of menu options, or is that all predetermined?
All
Oh.
their favorite options
Yep.
are going to be available throughout the dining commons.
So if we want to have, to this other person's point, alcohol served during Friday night, how do we corral we can't
you can't do alcohol on Friday night.
at all?
Nope. All right, I think we could keep going forever on dining questions,
Yeah.
and we do have some slides related to dining, so why don't we keep moving on? I know we have sticky notes here on dining, but I'm going to wait until we get to the dining pages. And we will get to all the sticky notes, and we'll get all the questions answered, but let's keep moving on and get more into the budget so that you know all the resources you have. So find your green paper in your packet. It looks like this. So this green paper is actually from the Reunion Planner's Handbook. It's page 34, 35, and 36. So if you need extra copies of this, you can always download it online. It's available in the links on the hub. You have a copy of it here in green. This worksheet is to help you try to figure out your budget and what expenses you might have. What I have done is I tried to just come up with a fake budget right now, something that I might consider if I was any class here coming back for reunion. So I just started filling this out. So we can walk through that with my mock numbers. And some of the numbers might be totally realistic, and some of them might be totally not realistic. And I'll tell you kind of my thoughts there. So if you're on the very first page in your budget, the mailing expenses. So this is one of those numbers that could be very different depending on the makeup of your class. So when you do a mailing, you will have 2 mailings on your reunion cycle. You'll have a fall letter and a winter letter. Every year from the Alumni Association pays for 1 mailing. Bulk mailing. 1 bulk mailing. So that's a hard copy mailing to every classmate. we suggest that you use that paid mailing that you have as an option as a class for your winter letter mailing, because we want every member of your class to get a hard copy paper mailing of that winter letter with details about your reunion. So that means your fall mailing is the one that's going to be covered by your class treasury. The fall mailing, this is where my estimate of $250 may be realistic or not. So you have the choice of when you do a mailing to do a bulk mailing, hard copy to every person in your class, which is going to come at a cost of the postage. Or you can do a mixed mailing, meaning if your classmate has a email address on file in our database, we will email your fall letter to everyone in your class that has an email address, and then we will hard copy mail anyone in your class that does not have an email address. So that will save you a significant amount of money. Now, what we do is when we email it out, we wait to see if there are any bounce backs. So if we get a bounce back from someone, like the email they supplied for us didn't work, they immediately go into the hard copy mailing. So every member of your class will definitely get notification in either email or hard copy. If you were doing that, this is where that dollar amount really varies. So years ago, when we only sent out hard copies, I can tell you my class, which has about 500, maybe high fours, it was about a $560 expense for postage and copying. Now, last time I did it, when it was my 15th year reunion, it was $52 and change, because most of my class had email addresses. So you do need to think about, does most of your class have an email address? Then you can probably budget a smaller amount there. If you think about half your class has email addresses, you can figure out maybe it's around $200, $250. So it will really depend on your class and if you want to do that mixed mailing or just hard copy mailing.
And this is a great lead into the process of trying to reach out to all of your classmates beforehand, because if you are able to get as many email addresses as possible, it will cost your class less money to send it out. So start reaching out and doing that.
Yes.
That won't go out bulk mail. If it's an email blast with a hard copy to those without, it doesn't go bulk mail. It goes regular first class. Because you have to have 200 to go bulk.
Okay, because my concern was if it goes bulk and the address is incorrect, it won't come back and you won't know. But if it's going regular
First class.
it would.
Yes.
It would.
Yep.
Will the Alumni Association let us know how many of our class have emailed? Do you have any?
Actually, I have a sheet over here that I was going to pass out to everybody to let you know that.
All right, so Janet will do that. So that's my first number on this page. As we move down the page, the class fee on this page, there are a variety of options that you might include in your class fee. You don't have to list something for each one of these. So for example, parade costume. If I'm estimating that about 75 people are coming back for reunion, and I want to spend about $10 on the parade costume, then it's about $750. You can choose any dollar amount you want there. You don't have to use the $10 that I gave as an example. So think about what your costume is. Maybe you're going to do a all recycled costume and use old ones from the past. Maybe this is your year. Nope, we are buying the best bags we've ever had, and they're going to cost $15 a piece. Whatever it is, you have the flexibility here to decide that. When you are putting in your estimate of how many classmates come back, we can touch base with each class and let you know, hey, you're coming back for your 50th reunion or your 15th reunion. Typically for a 15th reunion, about 21% of the class comes back. So you can figure out how much.
And actually, on the website, there is that statistical page that I was talking about earlier this morning, where you can go and look at the last 5 years of your 45th reunion, what the attendance was for the last 5 years.
So you can get a good estimate of how many people. Plus, you also know the personality of your class. If your class, is it Gail, right? Gail's class comes back in abundance, she's going to look at that estimate and then say, oh, we're probably going to be higher than the 40% that comes back. My class, I might say, oh no, we're going to be a little under what that estimate is. So you can go with however you want to.
Just so you know, overall, all alums are invited to reunion. About 20%, 21% of all alums come back for reunion.
Okay. Yep. And then you'll just fill in each one of these lines here. So things like, I thought, well, maybe I'm not going to make a booklet. I'm not going to put anything in there. For decorations, well, my class has a lot of decorations already in storage. Maybe we need about $100. And so these are the conversations you can have as a team at 3:30. We're going to break out, and you can have these conversations. What do we already own? What are we going to need to purchase? An estimate about how much you think you're going to do. And as you fill that in, you'll get a total price. And this is where you can say, ooh, I don't like that estimate, or ooh, we are spending way more than what I wanted to, or ooh, our class fee is going to be really high. We want to offset that with Treasury money. So for my particular example, when I put in all these amounts, it was a little over $3,000. I divided it by my 75 people that I think are coming, and it worked out to be $28.66. So I would report back to Janet when it is on the reunion timeline how much your class fee is. That needs to be reported back to her at a certain point. I could say $28.66 to Janet, and she would say, oh my gosh, Melissa. Or I could say $28, or I could say $30, or we can decide as a class, we're going to cover $20 of that, and we're only going to apply $8 to each classmate for their class fee. So this is where you have that flexibility with the class fee. On the next page, yes, sorry. Yep. Yep.
There are some signs from previous reunions.
Yes.
Class that we could pull off.
So the Alumni Association has a database of what signs we have in storage for you for each class. So you can get that from...
We will send a message out earlier, probably in January, with a listing of your class signs, and you need to report back letting us know which ones you want to keep, which ones you want to discard, and any new ones that you want to purchase.
Perfect. And you'll also let them know how much it is to get signs made by the association, or you can have them made not by the association, or you could make them yourself. Okay. So the next page in the green packet is just another page for you to do some summary of, here are the fall letter expenses, the winter letter expenses, how much you're going to use from the class treasury. Yep. And then how much you might be using to cover social hours or items like that. And basically this page is going to show you if you have enough in your treasury to start covering those costs. You might know that immediately without using this worksheet, but so for my example, we have about $10,000 in the bank. We're going to spend probably $250 for the mailing. The Treasury is going to cover $1,000 of class fee expenses. We're not covering any of our social hours because that's covered in my $1,000. I didn't delineate it out. So we're going to spend about $1,250. So my current Treasury is still in the black at $8,750. So this just helps you not spend more than what's in your Treasury. So you can use this or not. Yes?
For social hours,
Yep.
can the college still arrange for like refreshments and stuff like that?
Yes, you can do that.
Yep. So the next one is helps you figure out what your total expenses are. So we took that $3,150, which was on my very first sheet that I showed you when I tried to estimate. So that's your first amount. Then we took that $1,250, that's how much the Treasury is going to support. And then we let's see, then I subtracted them, and I got $1,900. And then from there, I estimated that we were going to have 75 people in attendance, maybe 10 guests. So about 85 people, and that's where I came up with my $30 rate for the class fee. $30 for the class fee going forward is probably a little on the high side, but these are my fictional numbers that are tried to be broad with all the different variety of people in the room. If I was going into my 20th reunion, I would probably have a much lower class fee here because we would have covered some more things with our treasury.
So this is where Melissa was talking earlier about how you have that unique package price. This is where you all control it. This is where you can control whether your alums pay $250 or $230 to come back to reunion. Those are hypothetical numbers, but it really is up to the classes to determine that class fee, and that's where your classmates are going to see that savings.
All right, so what you need to do to really start working on this worksheet and think about your class is to really know how much is in your bank account. So hopefully you did this. I'm going to keep going. Okay. Hopefully you did this as your homework. We had asked you to check in with your treasurer, or maybe you can call your treasurer during your working time at around 3:30, so that you have something to do.
The estimated dinner cost, you were going to give us an estimate.
I think it's coming up.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So remember that your treasuries can supplement anything at reunion that you choose, like mailings, committee administrative costs, honorary guests, reunion scholarship, gifts, projects. Any of those things can be covered by your treasury. And we also know that treasuries are really key to pulling off a reunion. So leading up to the reunion, you are going to be paying for all of the upfront costs of reunion out of your treasury. So you do need to have some substantial money in your treasury so that you can pay for those items up front. And then the Alumni Association collects the fees from your classmates as they register, and they will send you 2 disbursement checks. They'll send you an initial check of people around what date?
Around April 15th for those who have registered.
They'll send you an initial check. There probably will be some of your classmates that register a little later. You might have some variable costs, and you will get a second check towards the end of June or middle of June.
Middle of June.
So you'll get a second check the middle of June that can be deposited back into your bank account. So your treasurer is really key to recording all of these transactions and keeping a close eye on the books, along with the reunion chair. So the reunion chair should really be working in tandem with the treasurer of your class. We do love this. Please, please help future classes that are planning reunions. I know that the class of 2004 has already reached out to me as treasurer for my 15-year budget. So if you could send us your final budget of what you had budgeted and what your actual costs are, we can share that with later classes as they're trying to figure out their planning.
Can I ask a quick question? The treasury gets billed by class dues, correct?
Class dues and other fundraising type components.
Do you have any recommendation for what we ask for in dues, or is it totally up to us?
It's totally up to you. Yep, it actually varies significantly from class to class.
But you only typically get a spike in dues for reunion years, right?
I think most of the time people figure, hey, you can pay your 5 years of class dues right now.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So let's see. One thing that people have talked a lot about as being very helpful is you can set up a PayPal account so that you can conduct like collecting dues via PayPal, and they can be deposited right into your class bank account. So we do urge classes to consider setting up a PayPal account, and this slide, which you'll be able to access this training on the hub and the Alumni Association website after. This slide will be really pertinent to your treasurer to try to help them set up a PayPal account if you would like to go in that direction. Oh, sorry, yes, take a picture. It's good. Good stuff. Yeah. We had so many classes asking about this. We finally we put it in last year and people really thanked us.
Do you guys have any, so I was trying to figure out, or do you have any helpful information that you can supply later on how to put the button onto your class page? Because I was trying to figure it out months ago and could not for the life of me figure it out.
I can help you do that. Yep. Yep. And then, so again, your reunion budget is really, it's going to vary from from class to class, and you have a lot of components that go into this. I think we already covered this one. So just a reminder again, you each are a separate and unique class. So each of your total costs is going to be unique. There are some costs that you have flexibility in altering and others that you don't. So remember that registration fee is a flat cost. Most of us it's $150, the 2 is $50, the 5 is $75. The dining fees are a flat cost, and the class fee is flexible, and then the rooms are a flat cost. We had written down our estimate in here for our dining fees. Was it? Janet's going to have it, I hope. Hold on, I'm going to give you the dining. I promised you I would. Oh, she has it. So our 89, right? So we think that your dining, that means your Friday dinner, Saturday breakfast, Saturday lunch, Saturday dinner, and Sunday breakfast. If I look at last year's costs, which we don't have this year's costs, but I would think that they're going to be somewhat similar, it was $89, 89, so about $90 for all your meals, the whole weekend. Plus wine with dinner. So for 5 meals, it was about $90. We do not feel that it will vary that much. So you could use $90 as your estimate. Including the wine on Saturday. I'd also like to say that, remember we took that little trivia, and was it Kate, did you win with 380, which is what our cost was maybe 5 years ago? We're now down to a cost of about $320. So there's been quite a bit of reduction in our overall package costs, and we feel like the added bonus of this consistent dining package and using the resources of all of us eating at one eating lunch together, that helps drive the cost down. So that's really helping make reunion more accessible. One thing I didn't talk a lot about in the budget, which will come up, is whether or not your class wants to have a scholarship or some sort of sponsor, whatever word you want to use there, it's up to your class. But you can sponsor classmates to be able to come to reunion. We've also had classmates work together and try to share their mileage. I'm not an expert in that, but they have tried to figure out ways to help classmates get here. So you can talk as a class whether or not you would like to offer that also. Now when you cover costs, you can choose to cover the whole cost. You can choose to cover any amount. And so Janet's going to talk about that, because classes will ask, well, I don't necessarily want to have to choose who is going to be covered or who's not covered. And so Janet will talk a little bit about that to keep that somewhat anonymous. But that can be part of your budget discussion. So I'm trying to keep us on track because I think it's really important that you have your class planning time at 3:30. So we're going to let Janet zoom through, and then we're going to do all the sticky notes that are there, and then we'll release you. So there we go. So Janet, take it away.
All right. So this is the fun part. This is the planning. No more budgets, no more numbers.
And some of this we've talked about.
And some of it we've already talked about, so we will get through this quickly. So one of the things that we talked about this morning was the fact that we have a lot of events going on over the weekend, and we want you to really try to take that into consideration when you're planning any events for your class.
I wanted to give you a view of what is online for both Reunion 1 and Reunion 2, so you can take a look and see what I'm talking about when we talk about some of the events that are happening. It's all on that volunteer page that we were on earlier today. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, okay.
It's spinning.
I'm impatient.
So while it's loading, I'll just answer a question.
Yep, this is Reunion 1. So
Okay, there you
we
go.
changed up the online schedules, and instead of including all the class dinners and all the class receptions and things that weren't pertaining to all classes coming back, we decided it would make more sense to just tell you what's available for Reunion. And this is Thursday, so this is Thursday. We have our welcome new alumni ceremony that everyone's invited to, and then the reception afterwards honoring our senior class graduating. And then Friday, really, Reunion starts at 11 a.m. with the conversation with the, she's not acting anymore, President Sonia Stevens, so that needs to be updated. And then we have our back to class sessions, tea ceremonies, admission tours, Sycamore House tours, Abbey Chapel tours, more tea ceremonies, more back to class. So there's a lot going on Friday afternoon. We have the alumni choral rehearsal. And so there's a lot happening Friday for those that come in early. We also added something really cool at night, the stargazing at the observatory. It was phenomenal.
It was so good.
At 9 o'clock, they opened it up, of course, weather permitting, but the line was around the building. It was a lot of people, so it's really it's been a good addition. Of course, Saturday morning, we have all of our reunion parade activities and annual meeting, but we have the Friends Row in the morning. We have Tai Chi in the morning to wake you up. We had a tour of trees on campus we added, and then we did our parade, of course our activities on the green, and then we've got all the class photos listed, so you can plan around that. More tours in the Japanese tea garden, and then the art museum, and then all the back to class, or all of the department at homes that happen on Reunion 1. So there's just a lot of tours we've added from the library to Lions Pride is happening in the afternoon, to the Botanic Gardens. So there's a lot happening, and we want you to take a look at that as you're planning.
Now, this is for the upcoming reunion.
Yes. It is last year's, but it will be for the upcoming as well. Yes. And then Reunion 2 has the same thing set up. So if you're a Reunion 1, you can click on that, or you can click on the Reunion 2 one here.
Now, will there be the department open houses? There won't be.
No. The department at homes are only Reunion 1.
But there will be back to class.
There's back to class on Friday, and there may be other opportunities to meet up with faculty. So we're trying to arrange for that to happen on Reunion 2 weekend, because we know how important it is. So, but we really tried to enhance Reunion 2 weekend, and we did add a few additional fun things that happen on Saturday evening. We do an art after dark over in the art museum, where we have the director do an art tour at 8:30, and then you can stay later to have some snacks and drinks and talk to the art director, and that has been very popular. And then we've had Reunion 2 classes enjoy a dance on Saturday night that the Alumni Association hosts. We hired the DJ, and there's a bar in there, but it's very limited. But there's dancing, and there's a dance on Saturday night, which gets everybody excited after their dinner. So after everyone's dinner is done in the community center, they came over and they danced.
So one of the Reunion 1 questions was, can multiple classes combine to have a DJ dance party under the tent after our Saturday night dinner?
I don't think that we can. The tent is not something that we've put up. I'd have to ask that question.
So the seniors, Union 1, the seniors and their families eat in the tent all weekend.
Yeah.
So they're kind of.
So they're set with round tables, and because they do eat there for the whole weekend, because you guys have the community center.
Yep.
So I don't think it's possible. Yeah. The lights will be on in there all night, so you'll see it empty, but you're right. I think breaking those tables down just won't work.
I was going to ask the question. I'll just put it out as a suggestion. If you could just save space
I'll have to see how the setup is, and I'll check with the college to see if they'll allow us to do that, yeah. Okay. I saw somebody else, yeah.
Will the cultural centers be open at reunion when I see Lions Pride? Will the others also be open?
That was a question,
Shabazz
I think
is-
Betty Shabazz and Jeanette Marks will be open for the socials that they have on Saturday evening. The other ones, I'm not sure about yet. That was a question I got yesterday, so I'm going to have to check into that to find out if all of them are open on reunion weekend. I don't know the answer right now. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint here.
Are you gonna go through the reunion 2 schedule?
I can if you want me to look at it. Yeah, absolutely. So reunion 2 on Thursday, there's not a lot happening. So really, again, reunion begins on Friday at 11 a.m. with President Stevens. And again, all of the same back to class, the tea ceremonies, the admission tours. Sycamore House does have open house. We've added the chapel tour in. Again, more tea ceremonies, back to class. And then Tai Chi for all. We actually have an alum from 95, Hong Wong, and she comes back to reunion every single year. And she does not live locally. She flies to come back here. And she does our Tai Chi on Friday afternoon of both reunion weekends and Saturday mornings for both reunion weekends. So a very committed alum. We're trying, this is an event, the alumni faculty reception, that we have had in the past. And we're trying to figure out ways to make it better. And so we're working on finding ways to enhance this program. But again, we did the Cornerstone reception is on Friday night, and then we again have the stargazing at the observatory on Friday evening. In the morning on Saturday, we have a little bit more time before the parade. So there's breakfast in the morning, the Tai Chi again, and then the tour of trees on campus, which is at 8 instead of 7. I think it's at 7 on Reunion 1. And then we start with our class photos. We made a change this year because of the timing of the afternoon activities and the ability to get people from the dining commons through lunch to get to photos. So we added more photos before the parade begins on Saturday, so we can get a lot of them out of the way, and then you don't have to work around them in the afternoon for your scheduling. So we have the 60th, the 55th, 30th, 15th, 5th, all in the morning before the parade. We figured you're up early anyway, right?
Yeah, we don't sleep, we're old.
And then you have the parade lineup, and then the parade begins at 10:15. So again, in the afternoon at the lunch on Reunion 2, we have the activities on the green that I spoke about earlier, which is nice because it gets classmates outside, and it was a gorgeous weekend this year, so everyone was outside hanging out in the grass. The Japanese garden tours. In the afternoon, we have the 45th class photo and the 35th in the afternoon. And then did you say 75th? Oh, yes. So the loyalty classes that are staying over at Willits do get their photos taken. So their class photos are in the afternoon. So one thing I did want to mention that is important, the Botanic Gardens, the director of the Botanic Gardens, Thomas Clark, and I spoke last year around this time about ways that we could make the 25th reunion a little more special and the 15th reunion on Reunion 2 a little more special. And he came up with the idea of inviting the classes to join them for a private tour of the Botanic Gardens and have it to be your space at your time. And he will be sending an invitation to both of your classes. So who's 15? 15?
Are you guys 15?
Who's class 15?
Yeah.
So you'll be receiving an invitation, and so if you can incorporate that into your day, your classmates are invited. Last year he gave everybody that came a little plant. He's really, really excited about helping us make these reunions special. And on Reunion 1, the 25th reunion, he's going to be inviting you as well, so if you can incorporate that into your schedule. And then, of course, we have the Lions Pride and the Women of Color receptions, and then our dinners. Here's that Art After Dark I was talking about, and then the Dancing Through the Decades on Saturday night. We start off with music from the 60s and work our way up to the current music. We try to cover all decades because all classes can attend. Yes.
So can the reunion one, we don't have access?
On Reunion 1, this space we use for this dance is used by the second-year class, which hosts the senior class for their big little party. So there's no availability, there's no other venue on Reunion 1 to do something like this. And then on Sunday morning, we actually do have a tour of the Botanic Gardens, and we have multi-faith gatherings on Sunday, and then the religious and spiritual life program has a little social where you can meet people. So there's a few things happening Sunday morning on Reunion 2. Reunion 1, basically, you eat and head on out because it was really hard to get around campus with commencement happening on Sunday of Reunion 1.
Can I just say one thing about the back to class for Reunion 2? Please do a follow-up if you've scheduled a professor. One year, we all went to our back to class event and we sat there and we looked around and we made sure we were.
I wasn't here the last time you did had reunion, so.
No, but just, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Do a little follow-up, make sure that.
Absolutely.
You find the professor remembers.
We actually have really good back to class over the last couple of years. We've limited it to faculty and some staff that are in departments on campus to showcase to the alums coming back what's going on, and it has been such a success. It's been great, and the faculty have been very responsive. And we invited all the brand new faculty members last year, and I think I had 2 brand new faculty members join us. And as John Western mentioned this morning, we've got a lot of new faculty members coming in, so we're trying to get them to participate in back to class, but I think a couple of them are like, well, I'm not sure I've been here quite long enough to know what this is about, so maybe now we'll get some that joined last year. So it's really exciting to get the new faculty out there to hear, to display what they're doing. I have a question I'm going to answer. It says, does the Alumni Association have samples of other class reunion books available to look at, especially the 50th? I do have them, and they're in our office, so you can call me, you can come in and see them. I don't have a lot. Usually the 45th, 50th, 55th, and 60th do books. Some classes do surveys to their classmates just to sort of get it, like asking questions about where they're at in their life, and then they put a book together about that. It's not really a book about specific people, but more about the class in general. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Yes?
Sarah, since you just spoke to the 50th class, can you talk to us about this package fee? Because we have special dinners.
Yes.
Now they're supposed to be hosted by the alumni.
And they are, and that will be taken.
That fee doesn't apply to us?
No, this fee will not apply to the 50th class because we host some of the meals for the 50th class. Yours will be special.
So we don't know what that cost will be for the other meals.
Well, it'll be the cost of your Thursday dinner and your Friday lunch, and then your Saturday dinner, and then the breakfast and lunches on Saturday and Sunday morning.
So basically, my second question there was our Thursday night dinner replaces Friday night dinner.
In effect. Yep.
Yep.
So the fees,
We can talk about it. We can go in more detail with your class because you'll have people that'll arrive on Thursday and you'll have people that arrive on Friday, so you'll actually have 2 package options. Okay? Yes.
So I don't know about this, but the back to class program, if you were to click on that blue highlight, would the back to class list come up of all the options?
I can show you.
I'm just wondering, because one of the things that our class was thinking about doing, at the last reunion, we had this sort of organic moment where we hooked up with a different class, and we all did this late Saturday night thing, and I can't remember which class it was, it's either those guys over there, or the 20th people this year. So, and it was really fun, and a lot of it revolved around talking about like networking around your job and professional development, and we were an older class talking to other people about, and a lot of people left with business cards, and it was just a really nice opportunity for younger alums to connect with older alums around their professional development. So I was just wondering, we were kind of interested in trying to do that again, and it might not be something that can be incorporated this late into a reunion schedule, but I think it would be really valuable to try to, especially with all the stuff we heard about the mentoring that goes on here and the Washington program, to try to develop something like that, like a session where people can come and sign up by their job, you know, like, whatever it is.
We've actually been talking about doing that for reunions, so thank you very much. That's a great idea.
I mean, yeah, if we could incorporate it this year, our class would be happy to help you. We have a lot of people who are really
Okay,
interested in doing it.
wonderful. I may call on you.
Happy to do it.
This is the back to class sessions too, just so you know. We did leave our reunion page up. Oh, this thing goes backwards. So we left our reunion pages up for you to review in case you're interested in seeing what things are available on the site when your alums or your classmates are registering for reunion, so you can see what we have. We left it all up from last year, so just keep in mind they are last year's. All right, I got to get back on track here. Where's my PowerPoint?
Right there.
That's on the Alumni Association page?
That's the Alumni Association page, yeah. Okay. All right, so keeping in mind that we must comply with the liquor laws that are in the state of Massachusetts, there's no open containers are allowed outside in the public spaces, just keeping that in mind. Bartenders are required for an event at a location on campus, which only specific locations, and it will be something that's hosted by the college. So it's not something that you would host. It would be something by the college. Alcohol of our own in your dorm is fine, for the one asking that question. And class should consider hiring outside bartenders to avoid any liabilities. And I know that I said earlier that, you know, that you can't hire the students for bartending, but it really,
Sorry, can you make sure to reiterate to keep it locked up, because that is very new.
yeah. I will. I'll get to that.
It just keeps.
Yep. So the bartenders, for if you're planning to do something major in your dorm and you don't want to be the person serving drinks in your dorm, you may want to have somebody there serving the drinks. Like for instance, we had like 2 groups get together. They had a party in their dining hall or in their living room. Their 2 classes got together, and there were some people that had underage children with them. So you don't want to just leave the alcohol in the bar open for anybody. So if you're going to do something like that, you're going to want to have somebody monitoring that bar. And what she's talking about is that if you are going to have a bar in your dorm, you have to make sure that if it's unattended, that it needs to be locked up, because there are a lot of young students on campus, underage students, and then there are underage guests on campus as well. So it's not just the students, there are guests that are here. So anytime the alcohol needs to be locked up if there's no one down there.
Let me just add that for reunion planners, you get an extra room, right, where you can lock your supplies. So you will have a room to your availability when if you have the liquor delivered, they can deliver it straight to that room, and that if they can stay in that room until you're ready to use it for whether it's a reception on Friday night or Saturday before and after the dinner. But you need to make sure that it's secured either in your supply room or in the bedroom
Of the
sort
reunion.
of leadership team. Just don't get a little carried away before you go to bed.
Yeah.
But it can't be left unlocked at any point in time.
So also think about dollies, cards.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yep, to move things around. The other thing to keep in mind is crowd control policies. If you're planning to have an event, I'm just going to, like if you're planning to do an event and you're going to have music and dancing and that type of thing, you do need crowd control. One thing that's not on here that I want to mention is if you hire an outside vendor to come in, say for instance last year we were able to use McGregor Dining Hall because it's empty right now because no one's in the dining hall. So the class that stayed in that dorm had a dance and they hired a DJ to come in. Well, that DJ is an outside vendor, so that vendor has to have insurance and there's liability involved, there's contracts that need to be signed. So if you're planning to do anything outside the norm like that, please talk to me about it so that we can make sure all the proper paperwork is in line to make sure we're all legal.
Janet, do we still need to get the extra insurance too?
Yes, there is an insurance policy that will need to be purchased by the class in order to cover for anything that may happen. Yes.
So extra costs to figure into
Yeah.
your budget if you're doing something.
Yes. So this is an important one about your class meeting. I know that there's some presidents that are in the room and there are some reunion chairs in the room. So if you're in a reunion chair and your president's not here, take some notes and talk to your president about this and maybe work with your president around the class meeting. So you do need to hold a class meeting. So you have to incorporate that into your schedule at some point. A lot of people do it right before they go off to their social hour on Saturday evening. Some people have done it early in the morning on Saturday. Sometime on Saturday, though, because all of your classmates are here. We do have a sample agenda on the website that you can use, and part of that does include the Alumni Association stepping in at the very beginning to come and talk to you a little bit about what's going on. Anything new, like for instance, Melissa may stop in and be at your class meeting just to give you an update on what's going on and answer any questions that anyone might have about the Alumni Association.
On the website, do you mean the hub or on the association's website?
It's under the reunion planning, click on the hub, which will bring you to that page where it's located, yes. And then we also do Loyalty and Young Alumni Volunteer Leadership Awards at that meeting, or either at that meeting or at your social hour. So we will work with your president to figure out a time that's best. Some people like to have it at their class meeting, some like to have it at their social hour before they go to dinner. And then we ask that you please come prepared to reunion with a slate of officers, so you're not asking people to raise their hand in the room to volunteer for a position. And we do want you to think when you're pulling that slate together, and I know the nominating committee will start getting emails from me soon, to start thinking about a more global thought process around the people that are on your board, and thinking more about engaging people who have never been engaged before. So we'll give them some ideas in the message we send them, and Maria had some really great ideas. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, the one thing I would sort of recommend is that you don't take someone who's never been involved with anything and make them the president. Okay? That's a prescription for, I mean, that's a prescription for disaster. But certainly as you're looking at both the sort of officer level positions, but a broader group of sort of volunteer, you may want to select someone to be the global representative, right? You may select someone, in our bylaws, we have the minimum number of positions that the association requires you to have. But this is an opportunity to say, would you like to join our volunteer team and bring in people who are not part of the usual suspects, right? Or thinking about people even from the West Coast. For those of the person who said we're not having enough California. So this is the time to sort of look out and pick people that are more even geographically diverse within the United States, so that if you wanted to hold a mini reunion or get people together in LA or San Francisco or Seattle, that you've got someone at least on the same time zone as those individuals, and easier for them to perhaps, pull these things together. So think about, who are your usual suspects, and see if we can add the usual suspects plus 2 or 3 representing a broader group of people in your class. And think about people outside of the continental United States, and let's designate some people to be the global ambassadors that represent your class.
Thank you, Marcia. Maria, sorry. Oh, I called you Marcia. Sorry about that. Thank you, Maria.
Able predecessor.
Yes.
Are you going to make these slides available?
Yes, this presentation is up on the website. Yep, it's already up there. It's on that volunteer page I showed you. Yes. So media for class activities, actually what is available, most equipment that you'll need for reunion is available through the college, and we will have something online that you can review and see what we have available. A lot of times it's very minimal, microphones, speakers, that's pretty much it.
Aline had a quick question.
Yes.
Hi, so I'm really lucky to have an amazing co-chair who's willing to fly from the UK to these meetings.
Hey, welcome, yay.
Isn't she great?
Yeah.
But we have a lot of classmates who are abroad and can't necessarily come for reunions, and for our 5th year reunion, they're really upset that we couldn't vote electronically. Is there a mechanism for that now?
There will be after you vote at reunion this year or next year. So you have to put it in your bylaws. And we can take a look at your bylaws. Let's do that. And if it's not in there, then we can talk about getting that changed at reunion this year. And then at your next reunion, then you can vote via electronic. Okay, but it might be in there because you're only a fifth year, so it might be in there. Do you have, 10th year. Do you have a copy of your bylaws? Okay, so we'll take a look at it. Okay, so planning for special guests. Some classes have honoraries and special guests or speakers that will be going to some of their events or staying on campus. Please just let us know at the Alumni Association. You could contact Louisa and let her know. And then again, space available on campus. Again, most space is available. Reunion 1 is a little more difficult because we still have a lot of graduation-related events and activities that are happening. But we can determine some space that's available. So if you want to do something outside the box or you need a place to do a memorial service, talk to me about it and we can find a space for that. Okay, here is the other mention from Maria this morning around the dorms being assigned, and we just want to reiterate that we are not able to really assign dorms in advance. It's really based on the attendance of your class, any special needs from your classmates, seniors on campus. There's a lot of variables involved in setting up the class dorm. So as soon as we have that listed, I will let you know. And I don't let you know like April 30th. So I'll let you know hopefully right before that. Well, registration closes April 15th. So that's when we start to really look at how things play together. And again, it also depends on if we have McGregor Dining Hall available still for a class to use for a dance, and we have a class on Reunion 2 who wants to have a dance, then we want to put them in a space they can use. So that's the kind of stuff we look at. So also after April 15th, or actually after April 1st, you'll start receiving reports to give you all the registrations for your class, and so you'll have your counts. And it'll be the responsibility of your union chair to disseminate all of that information out to your committee members. So if you have a dinner chair or someone who's just getting arrangements for the dinner, or somebody who's doing decorations or wants to know how many people are here, this is the report that you have to send off to them. So you'll be responsible for making that happen. Okay, questions?
So we have a bunch of Post-its, so we could cruise through. I put them in groups.
What are fees for children, and can we arrange childcare? So there are fees for children. There's a child package price, and it was much less, of course, than the adult package price. And so yes, I don't know what the fees are yet. We don't have the meal fees yet. So as soon as I get all that, we will let you know. And arranging childcare is really the responsibility of the class. The Alumni Association does not do any special childcare on campus. Yes.
Is there a different fee for like partners and spouses?
If it's an adult guest, it will be the same meal fee, and but there won't be an association fee, and but there will be a guest fee, and that's one thing we didn't touch on tonight. Last year was the first year we said to the classes whether or not you wanted to have a guest fee charged to your classes guests when they come back. That guest fee, which was typically $35, goes back to the class treasury. So it covers those drinks that they may have at your social hour, or anything that any food or drinks that they may consume while they're here. But it's up to you as a class if you do want to charge that guest fee. So keep that in mind when you're setting your prices. So what if your classmate only wants to come for one day? Well, the package is for Friday night through Sunday, and the lodging is Friday and Saturday night. So they do have to pay for the full entire package.
Yep. We could do that one already. Okay, what about, that's good suggestion.
Tours of Makerspace once it's finished. Absolutely. As soon as we get the word that thing is done, we'll be going in for a tour, and then we will try to incorporate something into Reunion. Absolutely. What process is used to provide a subsidy financial support for a classmate to attend Reunion who otherwise would not be able to attend? So in the past, we called them scholarships, and you, as a class, can designate how much money you have in your treasury that you want to use, and then designate how much you want to give. We are putting that responsibility on the class to be able to determine that, and to let us know who will be using that financial incentive to get them back for Reunion. But it's up to you to include that into your treasury, and you can do that.
Janet, in the past, didn't we
Yeah.
call when we
past they have, yeah.
And will we still do that?
We weren't doing that this year. I can check in to see if it's still a possibility, though.
Yeah, I think that may, I think the value of it, in the past, we've had them call one person, the class didn't know, and they spoke with Louisa, who I don't think is here anymore, but they just had a private conversation with Louisa. And if you were from a class that had funded some scholarship money, they could do that. But you wouldn't know that that's how that person is. I think we should do that.
Okay. Yes.
It's similar to what you're saying. So 5 years ago, we did have someone in our class who volunteered to underwrite scholarships for folks. But it was a little tricky because we didn't do it from the Treasury. But then we found out later that people didn't want to self-identify as needing a scholarship. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think that would be probably the one to keep doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
So why can't we have Saturday lunch as a big picnic for reunion 2? Because the dining commons is open, and that's the way dining and the college wants to handle on reunion 2. We don't have a tent up on reunion 2, so there's no place to even house it if it rains. So reunion 2 is when we use the dining commons. Yeah. Tremendous. And the dining commons, they do a special menu for that lunch for you on Saturday afternoon, and it was really a good lunch. Can we get coffee in dorm on Saturday, Sunday, but especially Sunday as people heading out? You're welcome to pick up Dunkin' Donuts and have it for your class. There's no catering on campus to do any coffee in the dorms.
But we did just find out there's
But we-
coffee
yeah,
available.
but we did just find out from one of the classes we met with yesterday that the Dining Commons does sell boxed coffee, and that you can pick up boxed coffee over there.
Starting at 7 a.m.
7, I think it was.
If we had a student worker, could they pick up our coffee?
If they start that early,
Another thing you can do on too, and I know our class did this, our last reunion, is a couple people brought their Keurigs.
Yeah.
We had a couple boxes of pods. And
Yep.
you just set it up in your common area with a couple gallon jugs of water, and people just made it themselves.
yeah, a lot of classes do that. They'll put the Keurigs out. Is there help for handicapped people who cannot carry a plate on their own? So we do have student workers, and we are having this conversation with Dining Commons this year around that, because I don't think we anticipated it last year. So yeah, we didn't anticipate it enough. So we are talking with them around having additional students available for that reason. So we're working on that one. Can we request of college dining service appetizer trays for social hours? Yes, you can. You can still call them and arrange to have something for your social hour before you go to dinner.
I don't know if this is storage room or there.
Where is our storage? Can I look at it and see what we have? Is this storage of stuff you think we're holding for you, or storage room that you're going to have?
No, we think you're holding for us.
Okay, we don't hold, the only thing we hold for classes is class signs. That's the only thing we carry. Is that? And your banner, yeah, and your banner.
And then as far as storage room, you'll each have a storage room assigned to your class. It's an empty dorm room that will be in your dorm. Yeah. That's where you can store extra class materials that need to be locked up, but it has linens and trash bags and kind of extra materials. Your signs will be delivered there if you have signs.
Any boxes you ship in advance will be delivered to that.
Yep.
Yep.
You're probably going to tell me this is a work in progress. I know you can make the dorm assignments include the head counts, but I came for last year's 40th reunion for this year. And Creighton, which is the dorm's headquarters, wasn't sufficient for the meetings because they ended up having to be spread across 4 or 5 dorms, whatever the number was. So if the headquarters is assigned and it's not sufficient, how do we figure out, when we know the head count, you'll help us figure out what the meeting was?
Well, if you're having a class meeting, like she just mentioned, that the space in some of the dorms is not conducive to having 75 to 100 people in, come talk to me or call me and let me know. We can talk about maybe using Hooker or using a classroom somewhere on campus that we can have you use space elsewhere to have your meeting. Absolutely.
I don't know exactly what that says. Who just asked?
Who just wrote this last one?
Yeah, go for it.
Can you give us a map that we can share with our classmates that shows where the different food stations are and what the description is so that they won't go nuts trying to figure out what's available?
They only set up, for reunion, it's not gonna be every station set up that you see tomorrow. Or they set up they replicate several stations of a great variety of food, but it's very self-explanatory, and these guys are all there helping.
And I do go into the room beforehand and explain to the classes before they get up to go how the room works. And there are 3 buffets set up. They all have the same food on them. So if you see a line, go to the next one.
And as you're walking into the dining commons, there are these TV screens on the wall as you're walking in, and they list what the menu items are, including visuals of what the menu item is
Yes.
being
Is
served.
there a specific reason that there weren't trays there, that you've got to balance everything so people don't eat too much?
You want to take that one for him?
It has the same.
Nancy's going to take that one.
There are
The
trays.
dining commons has no trays. It's, so there are no trays, period. So there are none available. There's all, everything is.
Why?
I think it's because of the. I think they're trying to, and they're trying to do the waste. If people take a tray, there's more food on a tray versus if you take a plate and you fill a plate, because a lot of food waste with a tray.
And if you look at the little handout that was on the registration table, it's still there at Willits. There's a quick little brochure. If you open that up, it gives specific reasons why they have, these types of plates, how they were, the thought process that goes into that that will give you talking points.
What we did notice last year, which was our first year, was the one time people struggled was not getting their food. It was then taking their food at the end. Not everyone struggled, some people did. So what we're working with dining services around this year is, are there some classes that we should predict there may be some people that will need some help? Either we'll put busing stations in the rooms, or we'll get people to help.
Or the silverware
Yeah,
and
we will,
napkins.
right, so we're gonna, dinner on Saturday is not an issue, it's that is already bused, but we're working with dining services on that now.
Yep, so on here it says there are no dining trays. It reduces food waste and our facilities' use of energy and water. There are 0 bottled beverages for sale, instead permanent cups and a variety of drinking stations, plus compostable to-go cups. And there are no disposable dishes, forks, utensils. Instead, they have permanent dishware of over 20,000 pieces, flatware of over 5,000, and over 1,500 sets of chopsticks.
And yes, that was so great.
Yeah.
Having chopsticks with the wash basin.
Yes, so fun.
Is there any other questions before we go into planning time? Yes.
For Reunion 2, are all residence halls available or not?
They are, unless they're doing some construction, and we don't know that, or renovations in the buildings. We have student dorm, so most are, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to move to planning time.